Welcome. This learning theory video is going to concentrate on social cognition, and here is Bandura, one of the key theorists from this perspective. The foundation to social cognition is that people learn from observing others, and this observation happens in a social environment. So we acquire knowledge, rules, skills, etc. by observing other people utilizing that knowledge, those rules, skills, etc. In the real world. And by observing the use of that learning, we can then internalize it and decide whether we're going to mimic it or whether we're not going to use it. So we can decide whether behavior that we observe in a social environment is useful or appropriate by the consequences that we see others receive by using that knowledge. If it's a positive consequence, then we know it's okay if we model that behavior. And conversely, if we see someone get a negative consequence for using a new set of knowledge or a new strategy, we understand that that's not appropriate and we don't need to mimic that. Bandura was the first to separate the act of observation from the act of imitation. Before Bandura, the social cognitivists came more from the school of behaviorism, saying that what we observe is what we imitate. Bandura says that we have choice here. We can separate the act of imitation, and most importantly, that we can learn vicariously through others using new knowledge, and we can see the consequences of that use of knowledge, and we can decide for ourselves whether we want to imitate that. Bandura also posits social cognitive theory, which is a threefold theory. First, people influence their environment, and on the flip side, the environment in turn influences the person. Now, what makes this exchange between an individual and an environment more complex is that when we situate learning in a social environment where there are multiple people are influencing the environment and in turn being influenced by the environment themselves. Therefore, when there's multiple people in a social context, the individuals are influencing each other as well. Julian Rotter contributed the concept of locus of control, internal and external locus of control. The concept here is that people attribute successes and failures either to external factors or internal factors. And the reason that this is important as far as learning goes is that when someone attributes their ability to have success to external factors, it's difficult for them to take charge of their learning. Whereas when someone attributes successes and failures to their own internal personal factors, they're sort of in a ripe place for learning. Social cognitivists view the learning process as the interaction and observation of others in the social context. When we have opportunities to view others demonstrating their learning and their skills in those social environments, we're more likely to learn from them. The locus of learning, where learning occurs. Learning occurs through the interaction of person, behavior, and environment, and the observations that occur during those interactions. And social cognitivists say that the purpose of learning is to learn new roles and behaviors through that observation. And the instructor's role, if we believe that learners learn by observing, is to model the new roles, the kinds of behaviors, and the kinds of knowledge that we want our learners to learn. We can be sort of the alpha who demonstrates the concepts that the learners are observing.